Welcome on in, guys. Three bold takes, and we are back with Bowl Mania this year. We do this every single year. Link is in the description to join. Winner will receive a free Champions Three Bold Takes t-shirt courtesy of the guys over here at Three Bold Takes. But before we get into it, we are sponsored by SeatGeek, so use our discount code 3BoldTakes at checkout to get $20 off your first purchase. We are looking to go to a couple of bowl games. We will definitely be using SeatGeeks. You guys should too. It'll show you what's a good deal, what's a bad deal, and should save you a little bit of money off the top.
Welcome in. We have the Capital One Orange Bowl as we continue on our bowl coverage. Now we're just in the midst of the playoff games. That is it. All the bowl games are officially over. We'll update you later on after the bowl game season is over of what we've done cumulatively. But currently we have the Capital One Orange Bowl. Notre Dame beats out Georgia, makes it into this one, and then Penn State beats out Boise State to get into this one. It's in Miami Gardens, Florida, on January 9th, a Thursday, guys. January 9th, a Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Let's see. Notre Dame is a 2-point favorite. The over-under is 45.5. And honestly, at this point in time, we're playing the national championship this upcoming week, which is weird. So now we have a week set back. How crazy is that? But Quinn, let's talk to you first about this Notre Dame Penn State matchup.
Yeah, no, I think it's, I've went back and forth on this particular matchup because as far as like your playoff run, I've been insanely impressed with Notre Dame. They blew the doors off Indiana, who I know some people are saying like, oh, look, Indiana got blown out. That's why they shouldn't have been in the playoff. I don't buy that, especially after you've seen how the Big Ten has done in this postseason this year. I think Indiana was a pretty good team, and Notre Dame just absolutely destroyed them. And then they kicked Georgia's teeth in 54 seconds, and that's all they had to do to win the game. All right, so Notre Dame has impressed me in this playoff run, and vice versa. Penn State, they haven't necessarily impressed me just because I don't know what to make of their two wins. They dominated the line of scrimmage against both SMU and Boise State. I mean, Boise got pressure in the pass rush game, but they weren't able to stop the running attack. And I feel like if Penn State doesn't get away from running the ball in the middle half of the game, that game could have been a lot worse than it actually ended up being. I flip-flop back and forth because I think when Notre Dame has the ball, they're going to try to establish the running game. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that super well against this Penn State front. So a lot's going to fall on Riley Leonard, just like it did in the Georgia game. Now he answered down the stretch when they needed to run the clock out, but I'd say he was only kind of so average up against Georgia. All right, now the other way around, if Penn State can't get the running game going, I seriously worry about them. The way they got pressured by Boise State, Notre Dame's going to pressure them better than Boise could, just period. And when Drew Aller gets put under that kind of pressure, what happens when Notre Dame starts forcing turnovers? It's what won them the game against Georgia. Yeah. All right. And it's what's won them games all season long. So I've been flipping back and forth because on one hand, here's what I've come to. Penn State finally got 2 top 10 wins in this playoff. But I don't care because those were bogus top 10 wins. It was number 10 SMU and number 9 Boise, who were barely top 10 teams. They were top 10 in name only. All right. I do not trust James Franklin in a big game situation. I have seen them pull off a big game situation win one time in 2016, and it took a blocked field goal touchdown to do it. All right. I'm not picking Penn State until I see them prove to me. And I was the biggest Penn State supporter there was for the last 3 years. But until I see them actually get it done against top end competition who we buy as legitimate equals to the Nittany Lions, I'm not picking them. So give me Notre Dame to get it done. But oh my goodness, I think it's just Aller makes a mistake or two down the stretch. I had a hard time picking this game, though.
So before I pick this game, I want to give a shout out to all the teams that's in the semifinals and their helmets, because this is going to be one of the best like helmet game possible. You've got Notre Dame, you've got Penn State, you've got Ohio State and Texas, right? All four have amazing helmets, very class act helmets. So it's going to look good on the field. Now, when it comes to this game specifically, I want to go all the way back to when Penn State played Oregon in the Big Ten Championship. They showed me that they can score the ball. They showed me that they do have explosive playmakers on their team. Although they lost the game, they scored a lot more points than what I personally thought they would against Oregon. Now, we saw what happened with Oregon against Ohio State. That's a different topic for a different video. But Penn State really impressed me. Drew Allar really impressed me as well. Now, when you look at Notre Dame, I love Marcus Freeman. He is one of the game's best up and coming coaches in the country. I love what he stands for. I love how much fun it looks like he has on the sidelines. He's got a good relationship with his players, and that's something that's kind of rare in today's world. It's more like a business now more than ever, but he's maintained that kind of coach relationship rather than a boss. So I love Marcus Freeman. My biggest concern when it comes to picking this game is Notre Dame's ability to run the ball. Quinn, you kind of already mentioned this. Jeremiah Love has departed the last 3 games due to injury. Now, I know Riley Leonard had 80-plus yards rushing against Georgia. That's one thing. Georgia has always struggled. Kirby Smart, dating back to when he was at Alabama, always struggled against teams that had a mobile quarterback or a quarterback run. Hence the Riley Leonard 80 yards there. They also lost Riley Mills on the defensive front, and I think that's also going to hurt them too because their run defense is already kind of shaky at Notre Dame, and that's one thing that Penn State loves to do is run the football. And I think because of that, I think Penn State has a little bit more explosive playmakers. Screw the coaches and James Franklin and Marcus Freeman. I think Penn State has a little bit more playmakers on offense and defense, and I think they can control the ball a little bit more. So give me Penn State to win this game. James Franklin to the national title. Chase, I know you love that, don't you? You love the sound of that.
It won't happen at all. And Quinn hit on a lot of great points. Penn State is going to absolutely get dominated in this game.
Oh, I did not say dominated.
I'm saying dominated because Boise State, if you watch the Boise State game, Drew Allar threw he threw a good touchdown, then he threw a bomb that ended up being 2 touchdowns early. And I'm watching this game. I'm basically tweeting into our group chat saying, holy crap, this Penn State game's about to get wide open. And then Boise State's defense started to mount back. Now, Boise State's defense was getting their run defense was horrible. Like they were just getting pushed off the ball. Exactly what Quinn said last week was right on top of it. Run defense was getting pushed off. They weren't big enough. However, when they started getting into passing downs, when they started making Drew Allar throw the ball, the pass rush was insane from Boise State. I can't even remember how many sacks they ended up getting, but it was a lot. They got a ton of sacks for this team. They ended up, well, they got 4. It looked like a lot more. There was a lot more pressure on Drew Allar. My apologies. But the sacks were there. The pass rush was there. And then also on the back end, the secondary. So you're talking about a group of 5. Secondary was not locking these guys up, but they were playing extremely well against Power 5 team that is supposed to be top 5 in the nation. A big 3 of Ohio State and whoever else. Boise State played extremely hard, and it looked like Penn State maybe not playing with their food, but in the sense of they made Boise State look really good, and they shouldn't have. If you were Penn State in this game, I think you should have probably won this game by 3-4 touchdowns easily. It should have been 42-14, 49-14, something like that. And then Drew Allar as well. He only went 13 of 25. He wasn't that good. And my biggest thing that I'm watching was the offensive scheme for them. They were absolutely dominating with the run game. The Penn State running back was insane. 134 yards for the starter, 87 for the backup. And you got into when Boise State started making their comeback, you started seeing Drew Allar throwing on 1st and 2nd down Both of those running backs averaged 7 yards a carry, guys. 7. And you start throwing them first and second down. So not only was Drew Aller not good, like I've said all season, but his offensive coordinator is sitting there calling plays on first and second down to put them behind the sticks for no reason when the running game was crushing it. So on the opposite end, Notre Dame against Georgia, holy crap. I thought Georgia was just going to be plug and play. I thought Gunnar Stockton was going to be whatever. Hey, you got the weapons. We've got all of it. Guys, I'm going to sit here. Sorry, Carson Beck. Carson Beck needs a little bit more of a pat on the back because it looked like Gunnar Stockton couldn't get anything going. Receivers dropping balls as well. What you got, Quinn?
I was going to say credit to Freddie on that, by the way, because he called that out. He said, yeah, Carson Beck turns the ball over a lot, but the man also throws for 400 yards a game, and they're going to miss that when they play Notre Dame.
Yeah, and they freaking
Appreciate
did.
that. Appreciate that, Quinn. Thank you.
I got you, buddy. I got you.
Right on top of it, because I was like, oh, Gunnar Stockton's just going to be able to plug in and play. He can move the ball. No help whatsoever. And the defenses both played well, but Notre Dame, when they started making turnovers and making plays outside of their offense, that's when they broke the game open. The special teams touchdown coming out of the half, that was huge and just honestly put the game away there. You just kind of felt it as a Georgia fan probably. So for me, I'm going Notre Dame through and through. I think the run game, I like how both quarterback and running back, hopefully Jeremiah Love stays healthy, but I think both of them together is a good rushing attack. And I think it's going to be tough against Penn State's defense, but I trusted Boise State's offense, and I shouldn't have. But there's no way you can look at Penn State's offense and say, hey, you know what? I think they can go win a national title. Penn State doesn't have the guns on offense to go do it. They have the defense to do it. I think if you put that defense on any team, honestly, that defense can get it done. 9 times out of 10, that defense is going to get it done. But the offense, I don't think they can.
I want to say this real quick. You keep talking about how you gave Boise State's offense too much credit, whatever. How about you didn't give Penn State's defense enough credit and Penn State enough credit? Like, it's all about how Boise's not living up to expectations, but what about Penn State playing a little bit better?
Okay, hold on. Let me ask that, because I'm with you. I've got Notre Dame. I think you can't predict turnovers as a thing that's definitely going to happen. But when they have forced multiple turnovers, they've forced more turnovers than any team in the country. And they've forced turnovers in every single game except for the Northern Illinois game. I think that'll be the difference. But let me ask you this, Chase. What do you say about James Franklin if he does, in fact, make it to the national championship game?
Great question.
I absolutely hate that you have that smirk
because that's
beard going on.
That's a top 10 win over Notre Dame in the college football playoff semifinal. And then who knows? That's just one game away from James Franklin, national champion.
I'll say this. It is still one win away from a national championship. That's what that is.
Okay.
I honestly think I'm not going to go that, but never mind. I'm not going to be that weird. There's about 1 million teams you could put on the opposite side of the ball in the national championship game. There's a hot chance I'm going to find something wrong with Penn State to not choose them.
Okay.
I like another team.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Yeah.
Because what you hit on it too, though. You got 2 top 10 wins in this playoffs, but it's SMU and Boise State. What? Yeah. Hold on.
No, Freddie, I do agree with him on that.
But they're ranked top 10. It's okay that a team that's not a powerhouse program to be ranked in the top 10. You can't take it away from them.
You're the same one, though, that said Alabama should have been in over SMU. And if you thought
if they would have beat Alabama, would you be saying the same thing?
About Alabama, I would be giving more flowers if Penn State beat Alabama, yes. Like I gave Michigan more flowers after they beat Alabama in that ReliaQuest Bowl because I was I did not think I'd see that from Michigan. But I'm saying swap Penn State and Texas. Playing Arizona State, that kind of game. Swap Penn State, Oregon, or Ohio State. How does that game go? Because apparently James Franklin can't win either of those games. You can beat up on the little guys, man. Everybody in the country knew. Well, I had faith. I tried to have faith, guys. It was a mustard seed of faith. But I tried to have faith in Boise State. And The box score looks a lot worse than it is because they try to throw back into the game. But Penn State, when have they legitimately beat a top 5 team during James Franklin's tenure handedly and said, I believe in this team? When? Top
Ohio,
5, top 10.
Ohio State 2016.
What Quinn mentioned. But I'm also like, give me handedly. They're not dominant in any sense. They've had playmakers all the time during James Franklin's tenure. He cannot get it done repeatedly.
It's just insane to me that you win 2 playoff games no matter who it's against, and it just nobody cares. Like, it doesn't even count. Like, what are we even doing anymore?
I said the same thing about Notre Dame.
It doesn't even count. So if
Notre Dame swapped and played,
you would
Boise
not
State,
have said that.
Look,
now over Georgia.
So a Boise
Freddie,
State
I will
team.
say this:
Look,
I think they beat the 2 worst teams in the playoffs.
Cool. You beat 2 playoff teams. Who cares what they were ranked? But you're talking about a Boise State team that had a Heisman Trophy, should have won a Heisman Trophy, and a team that almost beat Oregon, who was the only team undefeated. So it's not like this Boise State team literally, like, nobody was talking about should Boise State be in or not. It was always SMU. Like, it was a definitive Boise State is in, period. And it's not like they were Arizona State. It's not like they were Arizona State that was ranked outside of the top 12 and got boosted in. They were ranked inside the top 12 to begin with. So there's a difference.
My criticism of Penn State in this particular regard is I'm not impressed that you beat SMU in Boise, because I knew going into the game that you are significantly bigger, stronger, and faster on the line on both sides of the line of scrimmage in these matchups.
So does it take James Franklin to beat a team that his team is not better than for you to give him any flowers?
No, that's not what I'm saying. For me, it takes him beating a team that I think is on par with them. I need to see him beat a solid, like top 10 top 10 Big Ten SEC level program to impress me.
In which, if he wins this game, he's going to be able to do in the national championship on the highest level. He's going to play either.
So this Notre Dame, if he wins this doesn't count.
Notre Dame.
This is great. This is great, but I'm saying what Quinn just said, a Big Ten SEC, he's going to get that in the national championship if he wins this game. He's going to play Big Ten brother in Ohio State, or he's going to play Texas from the SEC.
I want to clarify, I view Notre Dame on this same scale. I want to clarify, beating Notre Dame is finally the first time since they played in the Big Ten title game that I've said, okay, you're matching up against a team who can match you on the line of scrimmage. They're not so overwhelmed on the line of scrimmage that this game is not going to be close. This is the first one. So win this game, and I'll tell you right now, if Penn State wins this game, I don't care that Ohio State's clearly the best team in the playoff. I'm picking Penn State in the national title because I'm crazy. Okay? But I got to see them finally.
I'll say it now. Penn State is the worst of the 4. Worst of the 4, in my opinion. Worst of the 4. They are the 4th best team right here in the quarterfinals, in my opinion. I do not think they can get it done against any of the other 3 teams. I don't think so.
I think it's Texas.
I think Texas is the most, which this isn't a Texas video, but I think they're the second most talented team who refuses to be good. That's what I think about Texas.
Yeah, and we'll get to Texas in just a second, guys. So this has been the Capital One Orange Bowl, Penn State, Notre Dame. We kind of got a little heated here. The James Franklin Penn State debates just continue throughout the season. Probably will continue until we're gray and old as well. So for the Capital One Orange Bowl, for 3 bold takes, guys, thank you so much for watching. Freddie, Chase, and Quinn always here with you. Make sure to keep tuning in as we do all of Capital One Bowl Mania.